Welcome to another edition of Green is Good, and we're so honored today to have with us Marilyn Sloane. She's a principal of energy efficient lighting design. Welcome to Green is Good, Marilyn.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Hey, Marilyn, before we get talking about energy efficient lighting design and all the important work you're doing there, can you share first your story and your journey leading up to becoming a principal at your company?
Well, I actually started out in lighting as an artist. I was doing neon art, and that was back in the days, back in the early 80s, and had to get serious about making a living at a point and realized lighting was a terrific place to be, and that's really how I got started in lighting.
Gotcha.
And just was working in Florida and Chicago, came to New York, and saw lots of opportunities here and decided to stay. I've been here for the last 25 years.
And what year did you start energy efficient lighting design?
We started in 2009. I had been working in energy efficient lighting previous to that, had my own company with an associate, and we did that for about 10 years. Then I decided to make a change, did a couple of other things, but came back and have been doing it since 2009, especially because everyone is now talking about energy efficiency. And back when we started, it was really a struggle to get people to understand and appreciate it.
For our listeners out there who want to follow along as we have a nice conversation today, you could go to Marilyn's great website. I'm on it right now. It's a beautiful website. Lots of great information there. It's www.eeldesign.com. energyefficientlightingdesign.com, eeldesign.com. So, let's talk about that. You said it was difficult to get people interested back in 2009, but now in 2014, lighting seems to be the rage, and energy efficiency and saving energy seems to be really on top of everybody's mind. So can you explain, if you and I were just meeting today for the first time, for our listeners out there, why should they even consider replacing their existing lighting? Can you explain the cost-benefit analysis that exists with that discussion?
Sure, I can give you a simple example. Everyone is familiar with a 4-foot fluorescent lamp. And apartment buildings are notorious for having old T12 4-foot lamps in their basement areas, in their stairwells, in mechanical spaces, and they typically have a 2-lamp fixture. That fixture consumes 72 watts. And in corridors, you'll have those fixtures on 24/7. You can replace that fixture with a current up-to-date T8 fluorescent lamp with an electronic ballast, 1 lamp, 32 watts to replace your 72-watt fixture. So you're looking at the savings per year of about, I just had that, of about $80.
Wow.
Per fixture. And everyone is interested in saving money. I'm sure of that. And this is one simple way of doing it. And not only will you save money, but Con Ed will give you $20 for changing that fixture to a T8. But in addition to all of that, that T12 fluorescent lamp has been discontinued by the Department of Energy, as well as that ballast. So you really can't even go buy those lamps anymore, nor the ballast that makes it work. So while rebates are available, it really makes sense. It's really a no-brainer to make that change.
So you get a rebate, you're saving money, there's just not any reason anymore. It's good.
No. And you'll get better lighting. You'll get much better lighting, the quality of the light. Even in a basement area, if you have your laundry down in the basement, it would be much nicer to walk in that basement with a T8 lamp versus a T12. But in addition to that, what the real key is turning lights off or dimming them. that's really where you're going to make an additional tremendous savings. And in a corridor in an apartment building, those lights are always on. You can now turn them off or dim them. And what we typically do in an apartment building, maybe in a corridor, we'll turn off every other light, or we'll turn off every 2 lights and then leave the third light partially on. And the fixture has an occupancy sensor in it. So as soon as someone enters that space, it will go to full bright or on. And once you include those savings, that really makes it even more palatable. And in addition to that, you're going to have less maintenance because you're not going to have to change that light bulb as often.
So wait a second. We met through our common friend, wonderful Tina Larson, and also through the organization that we both belong to, the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce. Great organization. And so I know you're in New York City, and I know I have listeners around the United States and even around the world. So this is a really important topic because we're talking more and more about lighting, Marilyn, than ever before on the show. And we have so many guests that really have great expertise like you do on this subject matter. So let's go back and talk about the blocking and tackling of getting people really interested. And obviously you say there's a real compelling economic interest to do it. Now, let's go back to how you started in terms of co-op and condo boards, and how come in New York or other great cities across this country where there's co-op and condo boards that manage the places that we live in, how come these changes aren't happening immediately? What has been the resistance towards these changes, and how can we get them to move faster nowadays?
It is very frustrating, but I do understand there are certain buildings that I'm working with that have some major upgrades that they're going through. So they've had to put this project on the back burner. We're still communicating, though. They know they need to do it, and we will do it as soon as we can schedule it. But there are so many other buildings that don't move forward, and I really don't know why. The other thing is, if it's money, which very often people will tell me, NYSERDA just came out, and this again is for the New York City, New York State area, but they just came out with some really great loan options. So there's really hardly any reason why someone shouldn't move forward. People are, I find, resistant to change, and it can be difficult. We just did a building out in Brooklyn, where we worked with the interior designer, and we implemented light fixtures in their corridors with occupancy sensors. And we were turning 2 fixtures off and leaving 2 fixtures just dim. Well, it was something new. When we installed it, there were 2 people at the whole building. It was a small building, but still, that were not comfortable with that. So we made a slight change on the fixture so that all the fixtures could be bi-level, and then when they want, they can turn those 2 off at a later time. So the point is, some people are more resistant to change than the others. Other than that, I can't figure out why anyone wouldn't move forward. There are so many benefits, and we have some new energy codes here in New York that are requiring upgrades.
And
so
I assume
now is a good time to do it while rebates are available.
And is this true across the country? When you talk with or meet with your colleagues across the country that are lighting professionals like you are and energy professionals like you are across the country, are most states and most cities putting in the same type of requirements that New York is and the same type of rebate program? So this is really a major trend. This isn't just a fad in New York City. This is really a major trend across America and across the world, really, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I was at a meeting yesterday where the Department of Energy spoke, New York State, several organizations from New York State spoke, and they all talked about emerging technology and how they're trying to push it even further, like solar energy. And so you will absolutely, it is the really hot topic. People want to save, but not only that, we have a sustainability issue. We have one planet that we're living on. We all need to live here, and there are only so many resources, and there's so many new technologies that we can benefit from.
For our listeners who just joined us, we're so happy to have with us today Marilyn Sloane. She's the principal of Energy Efficient Lighting Design. To learn more about her great services or to save money and change your lighting, you could look her up at eeldesign.com. eeldesign.com. Marilyn, you've talked about the Brooklyn example. And please share with our listeners a couple of different issues. You mentioned, you're an energy expert, you're a lighting professional, but you work with an interior designer. Talk a little bit about the difference between what you do and an interior designer does, and also talk a little bit about when you have different client bases, whether they're a business or a condo, and everybody's different. Every condo association and co-op association is different, and every business is different. Share with our listeners how you can make adjustments to make them happy. Like you said, in this building, you had to adjust things to make them happy, but it was all adjustable. Share a little bit of how you work with interior designers, but how you also make your clients happy and how everybody can be made happy with the use of technologies and things of that such.
Well, we bring added value to the interior designer. It's not always a simple one-for-one fixture replacement. Yes, you can do it that way, but there are other options that are available that will save the building more money and give them a rebate. And so that's what we focus on. We focus on the lighting, the latest technologies. I find it hard myself to stay on top of what's happening today. It's changing almost daily. I have a fixture that we've been developing, and the past 2 months, and a new product just came out that's going to change the way we're going to use this fixture now. So it's really an exciting time to be in the lighting industry. So we bring that extra added value to a designer, to an architect, to a property manager, and that's where we focus our energy as well. Working with property managers, they have so much on their plate. We can go in and take care of all of their lighting needs. We can prepare a maintenance Excel spreadsheet so that they know what they have installed in their buildings and they know what to replace it with. It helps to properly maintain their building so you have the right lamp and the right fixtures. Just simple maintenance things. We were actually on campus up at Columbia University for 6 years assisting the energy manager. This was in the 90s. We converted the entire campus into energy-efficient lighting sources, where we really got to appreciate the importance of maintenance. And I see that so often where a designer will specify a fixture that's hard to maintain. So that's of prime importance in what we specify, maintenance. It's got to be easy to maintain.
Marilyn, talk a little bit about this new wave of LEDs. Are they always the answer over fluorescence, or is there still a happy medium or a mix that needs to be found?
LEDs are fantastic. If you have a recessed fixture and you've got a compact fluorescent in there, you can replace it with an LED and get a better light source, more than twice the lamp life, definitely more than twice the lamp life, and a great color. But if you have a fluorescent fixture, it's in a basement area, you can replace that with a fluorescent fixture that has an occupancy sensor in it and not have to spend the additional cost for an LED lamp, because that's definitely much more money than a fluorescent, and still have the great energy savings at a lower cost. So LEDs aren't the answer for everywhere.
In New York, there's a program called 1,000 Green Supers. How do people work with their super, and how do you work with the 1,000 Green Supers, and what does this mean for your industry and for your company specifically, Marilyn?
Well, it's been great for us. That's a part of the 32BJ program. It's an organization. It's a union for all the service workers here in New York City. It's the largest union, and they have a program. It was called 1,000 Green Supers. It was promoted by Bloomberg, and it was teaching supers about green lighting sources, what they could do in their buildings to make their building more efficient with new lighting. And subsequently, 32BJ has continued that program and offering these people green lighting, and we teach it. So we're there with supers, with porters, with people who maintain apartment buildings, and we take them through a building. Here are emergency stairs. Here's what you typically find there, and this is what you should replace, and this is how much money you'll save, and this is the payback, which they can then discuss that with their co-op board. I mean, this is why they send these people to these organizations, to learn about new technologies. So it's a great class. It's a great opportunity for them to see what they can implement in their buildings.
Marilyn, in New York City, what does California Title 24 means, and what does that mean for New York City, California Title 24? Well,
you had asked about lighting across the country. And first I want to say is yes, rebates are available across the country, and there's a website that you can go to and check your state and find out what rebates are available. And that website is dsireusa.org, and you can find out what rebates available. But California Title 24, California is very aggressive about their energy savings. They're way far ahead of the rest of the country. But what typically happens is what they do out there eventually comes this way. And so it's an opportunity to learn from what they're doing, and is it successful or not. They are actually dimming lights outside. They're dimming lights in corridors. They've done dimming lights at a bicycle path. They're really being aggressive about saving money. And as I had mentioned earlier, the key to real savings is controls and turning lights off or dimming them. And California is requiring bi-level lighting in emergency stairs, in garages, in corridors. So they are actually implementing upgrades that we're only discussing here.
So the rebates for all our listeners across America could be found on dsireusa.org.
Right.
Perfect. And we're down to the last minute and a half or so. Talk a little bit about that. Occupancy sensors and all these new apps, Marilyn, that have come out to help us save energy so we can control our house energy and stuff like that. Are you using that as part of your program too, to help people save more energy?
Well, yes, in a sense, yes. We're working with the supers and the co-op boards with management devices so that they can actually monitor how much their energy they're spending in their building.
Perfect.
And these new energy codes here in New York City that are requiring buildings to monitor and measure the energy that they use, because if you don't measure what you use, you can't make any changes.
Well, Marilyn, we want to have you back on. You're helping make people make great changes. If you want to reach Marilyn and use her services to help you save energy and save money, go to her great company's website, Energy Efficient Lighting Design, www.eeldesign.com, eeldesign.com. Thank you, Marilyn, for showing the Green is Good listeners the light. You are a sustainability leader and truly living proof that green is good.